I'm gonna start it. Hi.
Wow.
Okay, we're
Oh my
already
gosh.
recording.
Whoa, it's the hotel guys.
It
Hi,
is.
Nancy.
It's been ages. It's been so long. I mean,
Oh my gosh. And in today's world, it has been hundreds of years since you have been in the US, and we are just so anxious to hear what life is like outside of the US.
oh my
Well, it's
God,
been
where did
100 years since Rich has been in the
it's
US.
been over?
I was there in December and
It's been over
January.
a year. I flew
Yeah,
to Japan March 25th, and here we are, April, what is this, 8?
yeah. Here
Um,
we are in southern Thailand is
right.
where we
So,
are.
oh my gosh, Nancy,
We're hiding out. We're in
if
the
this
hideout of the century,
if we were famous
just in
people,
time for needing the hideout of the
if we
century.
were like famous people, we wouldn't even have to wear sunglasses around here to cover up who we are because the beach is basically empty except on the weekend. And we're
Oh,
in Canaan Beach. And I guess Coco Cow is like a stone
No,
throw.
no, Koh Samui.
Oh, excuse
Yeah.
me. Koh
So
Samui, the island is,
we're on the Gulf of Thailand in south of the pier point that you take to go to Koh Samui Island.
as if 99.9% of us even know what you're talking about.
Oh,
he has a
that's true.
map.
Well, it's funny because the map that I have is of India,
Oh,
Oh,
but I can,
please get a
oh,
map up.
please.
We love maps. Let's
but
see
I
where
know.
I
you
can
are.
do
It's so
another.
true.
Do you see my map right now?
No, I see it.
No,
Do you see it now?
no.
Uh,
Oh,
okay.
here we go.
Um,
So, yes, I mean, we're like,
what's the name of this beach?
this is
Okay.
Kanam Beach. Okay.
Now, the one thing while you're fiddling with your electronics is
Yeah.
Ah,
you you are in the vicinity of the huge earthquake, and we you scared us all because
Right.
we
I know
all
we had a
wondered,
lot of
oh
people
my
check in
gosh.
on us.
it's
We're
interesting.
south of Bangkok, a few hundred miles.
Right.
We didn't feel
Right.
anything.
And Bangkok did feel, the shock and a faulty building, as many now all know, fell in Bangkok and really scared people to death in that city. It was apparently quite crazy. Meanwhile, we're so far south, we're practically in Malaysia.
Right. Here's the map. I know you can see it now.
And
So this
Now we
where
can
I'm
see it.
circling here,
Yes.
this is the point to go to Koh Samui in the Gulf of Thailand. And our blue dot is where we are. And I'll just zoom out. This is southern Thailand. There's Phuket Island over here, very popular.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
And then down here is Malaysia. And we'll be in Kuala Lumpur next. But we have
Okay.
to,
And
in
show
order
us
to
the
get
area
there.
where the
Yeah, the
oh
earthquake,
yes,
right. The
that's right.
earthquake area was up here. So here's Bangkok here where I'm highlighting.
And we've
And the
been to these
earthquake,
places in
yeah,
Myanmar.
yeah, I know
We've
we've been
traveled
to
here
these
twice.
places. So
It's
this
uh,
area is where the earthquake is, where I'm highlighting in the
okay.
city of. So yeah, that was a 7.7. It was only 15 miles deep, I think they said,
yeah,
which is fairly shallow. And
yeah. There's huge fault lines up there,
Bangkok is
which
all
I
the way
didn't
down
know.
here, and it happened to demolish a 30-story building under construction that
Well, that's an interesting side story too.
yeah, so it got a lot of press because of the video of that. But, largely Bangkok was just had a scare that closed their transportation systems while they checked their trains and stuff.
A
But
little local sidebar is like the people are really upset because it was a government building. There was like all this expensive furnishings in these offices. And now they come to find out just how much was spent on the chairs and, you know, nice upholstery,
That are
whatever,
gone now.
that are gone. And so it's like, hmm. So waste is
Mm.
everywhere, they say. But
Well,
me,
we don't have waste here anymore because it's all being taken care of. We're just firing everybody. So, yeah.
well, it's,
well, it is kind of we're not
yeah.
usually rubberneckers, but we did try to get as far away as possible, without leaving the actual planet.
Ooh,
So we are on the other side of the world, but we are rubbernecking a little bit about what's going on over there.
It's hard not
Obviously,
to.
it's obviously impossible to
And
avoid it, and it's inexplicable in a lot of ways. But I continue to really believe that the crisis of it all is really an opportunity. And I think you would agree it's an opportunity for all of us to be responsible and maybe even a little bit more responsible for our own selves.
well, and what
So
comes,
that's how it's impacting us a little bit. We're trying to see it in
you
a
know,
more positive way.
yeah, and I just was saying earlier that there's just a new awakening that seems from my vantage point here on this chill, windy beach, is there's community happening back home. It's been a long winter, and throughout, it looked like in the United States, weather was pretty spectacular for that April 5th demonstration in protest of so many things. So it's been very interesting to, you know, read a little bit and then just kind of like, okay,
Go
now
walk along the
I'm gonna
beach.
work on our Facebook Global Hotel Guys photo update because it's like my brain. I would never remember all these things that we've seen in our travels. So yeah, it's like we can turn it off and step
Well,
out
and
of
that's the
it.
interesting. It's so good for us to tune in with people who do not live in the United States, because, of course, most of us are all consumed by what's going on. And it's really
Yeah.
wonderful to wake up in the morning and get a text message from you guys or look at your website and see, life is actually going on just fine in other places.
Hmm.
I will
And
say, yeah, go ahead.
that's I think a really good touchstone for all of us, because the center of the world is not the United States of America. It
Uh-huh.
is for us who live here. But
Yeah,
there's a whole great big world out there. And
Yeah.
yeah.
what I'm particularly interested in is knowing how you're how is your interaction as
Well,
you're going through the world, who is like you observing this from afar. I'm really interested in knowing what kind of
Yeah.
questions you get and how you're treated.
I think there's kind of a general consensus that I just call him Felon 47, that they're kind of like, whoa, how did that happen again? And kind of shock from a lot of drivers and, people that we have met in many places. There was kind of like, how did that happen to your country? What do you think?
so the I think the one of the elephants in the room are the Canadians.
Oh, how could
It's
we?
like because we are seeing Canadians down here when we're traveling. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
not really like what people, I mean, it's kind of more about how it's affecting us and how we're relating to people. Like
Mm,
we can tell two old guys, we go to the same place for brunch every day. There's only one restaurant for a meal at like brunch time
mm.
and one restaurant more or less for meals for dinner. And we go to the same two restaurants every
It's
day
spectacular.
and they're good. And
Oh,
we aren't tired of them after 2 weeks.
no.
Um, but we'll see the old Canadian guys sitting there having their brunch, and it's a small cafe. And so it's kind of inevitable that we kind of found ourselves the first time sort of like
Yeah,
apologizing.
yeah,
Like,
we
um,
did.
and it felt a little awkward, and that was like a new one for me because our interaction with people, we've had this conversation before about, like current affairs as viewed by our interactions on the street and share some of those stories are kind of fun and interesting over the years. But this is like a new one because all of a sudden I find myself maybe turning my passport cover sort of inward so that it's not immediate apparent that I am an American
Mhm.
when I'm in line at the airport counter.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's like, it's just, I'm a lot more aware of, Bozo wants to be sort of like the carnival barker of the world and be on everybody's shit list, but I don't want to be. So
We are.
that's his movie, and we have to live a different movie.
Yeah. Find community. That's my
So,
word.
we also, I
Let's,
mean, I'm fully aware I represent sort of like the people that the system has worked for, basically. And we have eked out just enough to give us a very good life.
all right, let's talk about,
Something else, travel maybe. But
I think
but
so,
but that's
because
so
No,
it's
don't,
weird.
no, don't run
what?
from that. Don't
Don't
run
run
from
from it.
that.
Well,
This
it's a
is
little
what we're here
uncomfortable.
for.
Well,
Well,
but so it's more about like how it's impacting us from inside. But as we've talked before about like we're determined to really, I mean, we are optimistic people. And so I see this crisis as opportunity. And it might not be really immediate and it might like hurt a lot of people, like a lot. And the fact that we just have given up our leadership in the world in this way is sort of a bizarre,
well,
like soft power means nothing. And so it's all just going to be a bottom line. I say split the country in two, get over with it, get it
okay.
over with.
All right.
And just the people that want to have like a social conscious and run their society that way can live in one side of whatever river you want to pick. And the people who want to run it like a corporation and a balance sheet, and that all other things, it's a zero sum world. And if you don't get it, then somebody else screwed you. They can live on the other side of the river. But I've really kind of had it about like, I've been ready to separate for a long time.
Okay. All right.
So I'm a secessionist. Put me in
You
prison.
crack me up. I don't even know how to respond.
No, I love it. Well, you're
Oh
not
my
my only
God.
So
friend who
we
thinks that
become
So
way.
political refugees.
I knew this was going to come up because it was happening in my head while
Like
he was
like the Russians we see on
what
the street, they're political refugees.
well,
They
that's another
are.
whole story
And a lot of people
in the
are
naked
like
truth down here
men
too.
and women without a country, if you remember that old book.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are kind of fleeing where they don't want to be anymore. So there's a lot of that, especially I think in Thailand, and they're now like trying to crack down like the world seems to be. So, wanting their people to make sure they're the right people in that country. So let's talk about travel, Paul.
Well, we've been
Uh,
doing it while all this has been going on. And I would say that this year the
Right.
travel has been different. I
I,
think that we have been a little bit more, things have felt a lot more unclear. Like it took us a longer time to really flush out our schedule, I would say, flesh it out.
well, because
And
Paul's a Virgo, as you know, he's the
well,
one who's really tight on scheduling. And this year truly has been more fluid for us. Yes, we were kind of like
like
on a schedule.
we only made this reservation for this month in this amazing place. We picked a good one. We only made this reservation like 2 months
Not
ago.
even that.
Yeah, and that's a little unusual because we get a pivoted in our schedule and changed some things we were going to do.
So as we've aged and we are without a home, we still have a country. Our place back home is rented, everyone. That's why Paul took off during the holidays, December, January. So, we've had a lot of change in our life. Uh, as we reflect a year ago, Japan, right? So, now here we are, and we're like so happy to have 1 month where we've just stopped, where we aren't doing a heck of a lot. Like Paul said, our favorite restaurants, they care for us. Our diet is clean, except for the pastry that we eat every morning. But so be it. And so we've learned that it's okay to just slow the pace down. So I already am looking forward to the next chunk of time where it's a month again. I just came across a couple gay men traveling, and they have a website where I've just learned from them. They're staying in places like half a year. They'll live a half a year there, and we kind of were entertained by that concept when we first got exposed to the magazine called International Living. And, it was like, oh, what a concept. So for us at our young elder ages, we're like, oh, where can we hang out for Christmas? And just have a month and just be.
which we do every year. But yeah, we're thinking about not coming back to Thailand. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, so the schedule is a little bit in flux, but we have been a little zippy lately. I mean, we
We,
did a 2 week trip to India, which is always sort of fast and furious. Although the last time we were there, we did a 1 month homestay rental for the first time that we'd ever done that in India, for to just stop in India and chill. But this one
yeah.
wasn't that. We did 3 cities and three, yeah, basically 3 destinations.
Do you have some photos?
Yeah, and well, you have some photos that you put together, and we could show those to you now for our India trip. Or do
Let's,
you want to like
I mean,
digest comment on any of that sort of that political
Brant,
diatribe?
hope,
No, I'm just really taken by the shift in the way you're traveling.
uh-huh.
It's not as frenetic.
Yeah,
It's not move to the next one, move to the next one, see this, see that.
I know.
You're now doing it at a pace that includes living, just plain old living.
Yeah, it's
I
necessary.
think that we've built in like rest time around busier periods for a while, but we are realizing how much we really not only really want it, but we need it.
Yeah. And, just the other day, I'm like, okay, what other ancient ruins have we not seen? And so it's stuff like that because we are kind of geeky when it comes to like old and
Right. We're
ancient.
going back
And
to Egypt in October.
I
I think it's
was,
Oh,
October
you
or
are.
we
November,
are
maybe November. Where it's on
the
the calendar, but
the
it's still a little in
the
flux.
Grand Egyptian Museum is officially opening in July. And so, it's been on our list. We were there May and June 2 years ago. And so Egypt, well, I mean, we have podcasts on Egypt with you, so people can check that out at Global Hotel Guys on YouTube. It's like I'm so excited to be able to go back into Egypt, do the museum. We'll probably do it in a couple days. It's massive. It's been under construction for, I don't know, 24 years or something crazy.
So we're
So,
going to take a week in Cairo and a week in Luxor, Karnak, and just do it not like before we were on a regular, tour, like many people
yeah,
go through your Egypt. You don't have to do it that way. But so we're going to just go in on our own and we've already made some reservations and
yeah,
we'll stay a week in Cairo and just museum. There's all the ones that we went to before the new one. We also like enough to go back.
yes,
So we'll probably just do some museum stuff and some southern Giza, southern Giza plateau area, some of the old first pyramids we'll see again, and then go down to, and then fly to Luxor,
it's
and then
it's
probably fly back. We're trying to figure out if we're going to do a boat ride or not somewhere.
it's so
Because people
funny.
usually do like a 4 day, we did the 4 day Nile cruise when we were there on the thing before.
The Robert Schock
But we don't know if we'll do
tour.
that again. Anyway, so we've got some busier travel coming up, but we also are going to be chilling out in Bali most of the summer.
Let's show a little bit of India.
India? Okay, let me.
So we've been
Love to
on
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's too much. It's over the top. And this time, it wasn't 6 months. It wasn't 3 months. Like Paul said, when we were in Oroville, we were there a month. This was only 14 days. And this was a vision of our friend from Portland. His name's Guile. He recently retired. He's was traveling with us for several months. And his vision was to always uh, go do the Ganga River. And since he was in like elementary school, there was a National Geographic film. So we took him to the river
Right. So Varanasi, which
with
is,
his mother's ashes,
yeah,
by the
one
way.
of the oldest places in northern India, along the Nile, sorry, along the Ganga
Yes.
River, that is a place, yeah, as Rich was describing. So,
So we've done this ceremony, the RT ceremony on the river
in a few different
in
locations. Yeah,
Varanasi
in near Rishikesh as well, in the upper
on our first trip in. Yeah.
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 Anyway, so this is where we first went, and you can see by the blue dot again over here where my cursor is, if you see that,
Mhm.
in Thailand.
Two
That's where we are
totally,
now.
two totally different worlds.
So when we,
Oh,
we flew from India to where we are now, but we started in Varanasi, and then we went to a couple of additional places in uh, northern eastern.
okay.
We went to Gaya, and Gaya is a place also like Varanasi is, where there's the birth of Buddhism. These are two important places for the birth of Buddhism. So, and then we went on to another place. I'll show you on the map later. But here are some pictures um, that we put together in an album. Do you want to look at them individually, or
Yeah.
just want to scroll at them six at a time?
Uh,
Which do you prefer, Nancy, to look at six at once?
I love seeing one at a time.
Okay,
okay,
all
so
right.
we'll
We
move
won't
through
be
it.
moan it.
Sunrise,
That's such a fabulous. That is so fabulous.
sunrise, you know,
On the Nile.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, I keep saying
I
Nile,
know.
on the Ganges. We shouldn't have talked about Egypt
No,
before India.
I know. We're in,
Okay. So
and
yeah, that's fun. We were up early. We were up at 4. And then they're bathing all along, of course. Hi, good morning to
this
the
is ritual bathing that families will come.
yeah,
It's very ceremonial.
very
This was
ceremonial. Yeah. So they will make a pilgrimage to the city if they live elsewhere.
morning prayers down here, and the sunrise color. There's air quality issues, right? So
Things are a
that
little.
tinges things in an even more vibrant orange color.
I think there's one camel in
So
Varanasi. We got it.
yeah, he
So
was on the other side of the river.
it's not a common occurrence.
So these are morning offerings. You can kind of see they're clay containers with candles.
And flowers
Uh,
that people do.
this was on our way in. We were blessed.
Yeah, this is another location in the city, but
Right.
yeah,
We
this
went,
is enjoying Varanasi. And then this is the nighttime. So there's a morning ceremony at sunrise in a different region. And then here in the main, more or less square of Varanasi at the river is the RT ceremony at night that people gather
okay,
for.
here's Paul. It's
So there we are. Standing rock was
Oh.
so it just so happened that this was holy festival time,
which
and
I thought we'd have to wear swim goggles, that it would be so crazy, but for us it wasn't that colorful.
yeah, we got marked a couple of times out of
So this was our evening ride on the Ganga
so
River
after the
with a
nighttime.
cremation, one of the
Yeah,
areas
these are
with
the human
cremations.
cremation areas.
And this is, I don't know, what was it? He was telling us it costs like 10,000 Indian rupee to have your loved one cremated, and it's like 24/7. They're just burning bodies.
And then
Now,
here's our friend.
yeah, this is our friend Guile who brought mom's
You can see
ashes
the
and
ashes down here.
was able to release some of her
Yeah, that
into
was
the
really
river.
meaningful.
Now this
Then
is
adjacent, just like a half hour or so north of Varanasi and the river, is the town of Sarnath, where was it 200 BC or earlier? That this is one of the places where the Buddha came, and
his
then
first teachings were under
yeah,
a
well, it's
Bodhi
always
tree.
under a Bodhi tree,
It's always,
but
but this is when he began his
and
teachings.
we'd been to Sarnath before when we were in Varanasi, but
Oh,
we really wanted to go back there. That was really great. But we did take then the train to the next city of Gaya, which is another Buddhist
it's a
pilgrimage
great
site.
train ride. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
we had to have
So beautiful.
we've done the trains throughout India more extensively on other trips. This was a quickie, but I wanted to build in one
Yeah.
train ride. So this was just an afternoon 2-hour ride, but it's really an experience just to go through the whole process of the stations here. We had porters help us with our bag.
Always.
On the other end, what's great is they know exactly where the taxis are. So, they come onto the train, and it's just too easy. And
Yes, and it doesn't cost you much. So
they're
again, a good tip.
So this is a giant Buddha in the city of Gaia, Bodh Gaya, north or
Okay.
south of the
Yeah.
town itself. And you can see along the way, the kids in the neighborhood had stopped and marked me with some holy chalk.
Yes.
So
And your shirt.
yeah, my shirt got nicked.
Okay.
So here's
Again,
more of the boys in the village.
it's just like party time
Yeah,
during the Holi
this was a
Festival.
big
Bodh Gaya.
festival weekend.
Yes. And oh, I got food poisoning when I
So of
was
course,
here.
when in India, somebody tends to
This
get a
is
little bit sick.
this
I
is
actually did not this time.
this
I
is
didn't
my
get like
angel.
dengue fever this time or
This
anything
is
like
my
that.
health angel. I call him Dr. Mohit.
Yeah,
He was like, no, 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 don't eat this, and he's just giving me the great tips. And I've been there before. It's the brat diet, it's bananas, it's
yeah.
rice, it's white toast, and it's applesauce. And they even made me applesauce. So it was just a
Oh.
2-day horrible
Yeah,
glitch,
and we were in a nice hotel where he could be sick and then get over
and
it.
they
And but our
gave
stay
me
was long enough
great
that
care.
we were able to still see the sites that we
Yeah,
wanted to
day
go.
3, I was able to get
Yeah,
out.
so we did because we've been building in more time where more people would go to Bodh Gaya maybe in 2 days or maybe even a day,
So
1 to 3, but we were there like 4 or 5. So we've slowed down in order to just savor and take into consideration.
this Buddhist monk was waiting at the temple. There's no photography at this temple in Bodh Gaya, and it's due to a terrorist attack in 2011. And so phones are confiscated. So I meet him later, but Paul and I pose for a photo. Maybe you'll see it in the next slide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there he is in the
there he's
corner. We
standing
met
down
this
there.
monk. This was before we met him. The picture was taken before we met him.
And he was from Sarnath. He was like a great teacher. He sat under the stood under the fourth generation Bodhi tree right there on site where this photo was taken. And he taught me about how special the leaves that drop on. Here's the leaves that
These are the Bodhi tree
I found
leaves.
2 and was gifted 2 of these leaves, and these bring happiness. And this was the teaching that he left me, and I will never forget him. And then only to later see our photograph that we paid not much for at all. Thank goodness
He was in there.
there he was. It
Yeah.
was like, so it was again, India.
Wow.
I
It continues to
am
deliver.
mesmerized. Okay, another whole different region
So
here.
we went to the Konark Sun Temple, and we had to fly there from Gaia. But it isn't far. It's just right here, this town of Bhubaneswar. I mean, that's how we pronounce it. They pronounce it Bhubaneswar.
Bhubaneswar.
Uh, but it's in the state of Odisha, which is
Right.
it's got its own language and it's a distinct cultural area of
So
India, of East India.
the Sun Temple,
Yeah, the Sun
um,
Temple is there's this town of Puri, you see, and there's the town of Konark. And this is an old temple. Gosh, I have to try to
this was like
remember.
a 7-hour day tour from our hotel.
Yeah,
And so this
wanted to
is
get the
like
dating.
11th century.
A 13th century
Okay.
Sun Temple.
Yeah, and parts of it are even older. This was an
So
amazing
so
sight.
that's a picture of it. So this is
We
a picture.
arrived close to sunset. Again, the orange glow in the sky always makes the pictures great. Paul and I don't know.
It was cool. It reminded us of a place in India that we'd been to called uh, Khajuraho.
And Khajuraho has these, I mean, this whole thing about human sexual
Yeah, there's
pleasure is
erotic,
throughout Khajuraho, but you have to look closely. At this temple, at the Sun
sort of
Temple,
unadvertised, but it was there's a lot of eroticism in the stone carvings not exclusively, but behind us there. And of course, we had occasion then to meet people,
with
but it's gorgeous
a
old
chariot drawn
13th
temple.
century, stone carvings. It's
So
pretty
it's like
extraordinary.
these huge chariot wheels. The other carvings, by the way, are like playfulness, music, art, dance, but with a lot of sexual pleasure. teaching people, kind of
Right.
variety would be the word.
Yeah.
But you can see out in front of this temple, there's one horse
Whoops.
that remains. Okay, slow that one
Yeah,
down.
we're going to come back to that.
So that place was like, I don't know. Again, people were super friendly. We stood out, we're tall, I'm
There
blonde.
weren't very many Western tourists
I had
there.
so many, I don't know. I was photographed with over 50 people, old women. Probably I'm still older than them. The whole family's gathered. It was like one of those love moments.
So then
India, we've met so many friends just
we
because of
always do.
what we,
We always
how we
do.
show up.
And it was great. It was, we were a little bit worn out actually, but it was really great. And the very last stop here to show you
And
is in the town of Puri. There's a very well-known Hindu temple
so
complex.
we got dropped off by a tuk-tuk to get to this street to
Some
then
Hindu temples,
walk
most
to
of
the
them we
temple.
can go into, but this particular one, non-Hindus can't go in. But we enjoyed walking around the perimeter, and the nighttime environment was really something.
Yeah.
So we're going to just show you a 1 minute video of
With
us walking down a back alley, kind of like
uh,
the you'd have to live there to know that this particular entrance was like the way to
we
approach this big open square area.
the tuk-tuk came through the back alley. This
And
is a street.
and
This is
dropped us as close as he could. So this is our last minute
with
as we walk toward.
without sound.
Yeah, and I'll just
So
let you just
I mean
take this in because
it's
the
honking,
street scene.
it's
Yeah, we can't show it. Listen, you can't listen to the audio. There's not much to listen to. But this is just a typical nighttime city scene in India.
yeah,
This
going
happens to be in
and
Puri,
coming from the temple.
Odisha on the coast.
So yeah, these
Busy. It's really busy.
It's
it
a lot of
is.
people.
And again,
They're not, yeah, they're not undercounting their people like China
notice
is,
the saris, like they there are so many beautiful fabrics in India. I look around and it's like, oh, look at
So
her.
you can see then the temple that
It's
we're walking toward, the temple it's a whole huge area.
yeah.
We walked around the entire
Now
perimeter
here's a sweet shop coming up
without
here that I
going.
really
Oh
want to
yeah,
stop
this
and
is, you see these
taste.
kind of sweets, they're really sweet with
Oh my
ghee.
gosh.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that's
so
that. So yeah, so then, we continue to enjoy the exterior of that Puri
now it
temple.
looks like a frosted cake. Um,
But we got blessed by a holy man. And we met some just great
again,
everyday guys on the street. They're
selfie,
out and
selfie,
about.
selfie.
So then this is our last bit of our India pictures. This is our morning
Bhubaneswar.
back in Bhubaneswar. And there are some really lovely old, small.
We arrived when it was super
It
hot,
was
and people
hot.
kind of like, oh, you came at the hot season, and it really was. And that trip, we took off early, and we were really the only tourists there at all
Our
with
hotels got
locals.
nicer for the 3 stops that we had in India over those 2 weeks.
This is the
So
last.
this is the last one. I don't know. Do we have pictures? We don't, but you can find we were in one of those. I don't want to call it Disneyland over the
See what we
top,
got.
but no, we're not going to dig for it. They're not in here.
Okay.
This was it's
Yeah.
where we are now.
Right.
Okay.
So this was like a super art-filled hotel.
Yeah, which you can see on our social media if you're interested. Should we talk about, we have 6 minutes
Here's
left.
one,
Do we
here's
want?
a couple more over. Now this temple dated back to the 11th century.
And it's
and
beautiful. I
yeah.
mean, it's
Back across the
Yeah.
road is this
yeah. And then from
more
there,
stuff.
I mean, this is pretty much the end. And then
Yeah.
from there, we flew to Thailand. And then we're at the beach where we just sort of like unpacked our pictures for the month.
This
And
is kind of what we do, Nancy, and you're aware of it, but we collect this travel bling
it's right behind us in the picture.
and and it's really
It makes a
these
difference. We put the
things.
flag up. We kind of decorate our place for a month.
Well, we bought these new flags
in
Bodh
Varanasi.
Gaya.
Oh, in Bodh
Bodh
Gaya.
Gaya.
Okay.
Um,
And then we have our mom and dad altar. We always bring in fresh flowers every day.
Now our Doberman's not up there. He's in my wallet. I don't know why I
Yeah,
don't
he's
have him
around.
up there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our drug of choice. That's just like
We've only ordered it twice in
70
two and a
steps
half weeks, so
from the
that's good.
pool. It's
So, but this is the place that we go eat for dinner. It's just we have to go on the beach over about four houses
so Nance, we thought we were just getting a pineapple fritter, and this came with 3 flavors of ice cream.
and little bits of
And now it's kind of like, oh, should we do that
suspect.
again?
No, we
It's
only
like
we
all
eat once a week.
It's like, what
Minimum,
is your
maximum.
problem? This is what we kind of started to
So
talk about.
Frankie's Cafe across the street has fresh pastries every day, except Tuesday, which is today. So we won't see this today.
Our
But
monthly
we
sponsor,
we now eat there every day. So
Frankie's
she's
Cafe.
keeping, sometimes she runs out. So she's
Mm.
keeping 2 raisin rolls for
Every
us
day.
every day. She
No
has
matter
them
what.
set
I mean,
aside.
we could arrive at 10:45. It could be
We're spoiled.
1 o'clock.
And then this is the artistic,
I'm
this is
so
our
hungry.
mushroom and spinach omelet that we split this every day.
Can you believe this?
So
Gorgeous.
That's kind of falling into just a little routine that's so damned easy.
and we're right on the beach. So we're back with you live.
Ah,
It's getting
ah.
dark for you. And we have just a few minutes left. So is there anything
Yeah,
you
I've been so intrigued. I haven't gotten up and turned my light on, so
well, that's
Oh.
I'm
okay.
sitting here in the dark.
Fade to
Well,
gray.
go ahead and ask us anything you want to, any follow-up that you want to ask about any of that, or
No, it's just so interesting to me to know that two people who are so very near and dear to me are living a life so removed from my life. I mean, our lives could not be more different right now.
Mhm.
And that is such an important thing to remember. You know, we all I think get caught up in our own lives, you and
yeah,
yours, me and mine.
Yeah.
And to be reminded that there's a whole world out there living much different lives than we're living. And I like that. That's
yeah,
Yeah.
very grounding.
yeah. Thank you. And I know we appreciate that you appreciate us sharing it together.
Yeah. So
And
speaking of grounding, when we were in
And-
Sri Lanka
yeah,
and we went to this herbal kind of spice farm, and they had an herbal shop, and this is a particular oil that we learned from them is that you apply it to your head in the morning, which it's still morning here.
so this is like Ayurvedic.
So this allows us to have deeper sleep. So Paul is the one that struggles with sleep.
Sometimes I go through cycles. Right now I'm sleeping really well.
And it's because I've been
I
anointing
mean, maybe
you.
it's because of the Sri Lankan Ayurvedic sleep oil.
So when we travel, we learn things like this.
And we
and
just
then
incorporate it.
so
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, do I pack this? You know,
But
how
it's
do
a
I do it?
it's a safe bottle for
So
travel.
then the other thing, because my cholesterol LDL is like super high, and I'm refusing to do pharmaceutical other than a blood thinner. So these are a natural product that he said in
Ayurvedic.
3 months, and I could probably tell you what's in here later, that it will take care of my cholesterol issues. So I'm religiously taking 2 a
And
day.
then when we get to Malaysia in a couple weeks, you think you're going to get a blood
Yes,
panel?
and I'm hoping, I don't know, you can't probably see that, but oops, I'm hoping that when I see my doctor in Portland, Dr. Ben Lee,
in August. We'll be home in August.
he'll
for a
go,
month.
what the hell happened to you? So I don't know.
So, okay, we only have less than a minute
1
left.
minute.
So thank you for doing this.
I'll
just
anoint
say,
you with oil too, Nancy, so you have a good sleep.
Please.
we'll just share
Please,
that
please.
our schedule's online at hotelguys.com. But if you want to keep up with us on daily social media, you can do that, hotelguys.com.
Instagram,
And yeah, Instagram.
Hotel
So-
Guys One.
So, but yeah, we are going to leave here and go to Malaysia, and then leave there and go to Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and then Indonesia, and then the United States, and then Italy, and then Egypt, and then maybe Morocco, and then maybe Spain,
Yeah,
and then we're not sure.
yeah. But that's
Phew.
That's the year,
But
basically.
we're not getting tired
Yeah.
just thinking about that.
No, we don't sweat it. And we love you so much. We're gonna get cut off here because we're on the cheap, we're in the cheap.
Yep. Love you too. This has been awesome.
Love you, Nancy.
Yeah, community is the word.